On this week's show, we're discussing if this week's PlayStation State of Play delivered the goods, Call of Duty officially coming to Game Pass Day 1, and all of our predictions for this week's Summer Game Fest. All that and much, much more on this week's GamerGuild Podcast. Good game, everyone, and welcome back to the GamerGuild Podcast, your weekly show where we round up all of the week's video game stories and news for your listening or viewing pleasure right here on youtube.com/GamerGuildTV and available up there in the digital clouds on your podcast platform of choice. Your podcast players this week are myself, Chris, and the returning Roman, Mr. Richie. Welcome back.
I'm back, everyone. It's nice to be back.
It feels like you've been gone an age, a centurion age.
Yeah, it feels like I've been gone for ages. I've only actually missed one podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But that means there's been like a whole 2 weeks between recordings.
It has. So much stuff has happened out there in the video game world. And yeah, did you have a good holiday?
I did. I was very much just in a bubble, switched off from the world for 2 weeks. It was really nice. 1 week was spent in Rome, 1 week was spent in our hometown. But
hey, time off, isn't it?
I had a vacation, then a staycation, basically back to back.
That's good. Sometimes you need a holiday after going on holiday because you do that much active stuff on the move. Just getting back and being like, I just want to sit and do nothing. But
my girlfriend's feet still hurt.
Lots of walking then.
Mm-hmm. Lots of walking.
Or did you do something to them?
We were full on Assassin's Creed nerding out around Rome.
Have you played Assassin's Creed since you returned?
Yes.
Have you? Yes. 2? Revelations?
Yes. Well, I started 2 before when we were booking Rome. Then I fizzled out a bit and went on to other stuff. Mm-hmm. And then it's when we got back, I want to play. But it's Brotherhood that's set in Rome. Literally the night we got back on the afternoon, that night we installed Brotherhood and with a 100% playthrough, we just went for a wander around Rome in Assassin's Creed.
Hey, why not? Why not? I'm waiting for the day Assassin's Creed actually returns to Rome to see it kind of relived in glorious next gen, because the old one, it is a small map by today's standards.
Yeah,
it is quite limiting, but fun all the same. Of course, we do have a great show lined up for you all, but before we do get into all that, don't forget to subscribe, and ring-a-ding-ding that bell so you're kept in the loop with all the great content we do here at GamerGuildTV, such as our weekly live streams, Let's Plays, and this week in particular, we've got some special content coming because, as I mentioned, Summer Game Fest predictions are in this episode, which means Summer Game Fest is on the horizon. We'll be covering it this week, so no live stream for gaming this week because we want to prioritise our time for doing a Summer Game Fest watch-along. That is Friday the 7th of June, 10 p.m. UK time. So figure out your maths on that one. Anyone else in different time zones? We'll be tuning in, reacting live, watching along for all the trailers and reveals from Jeff Keighley and the gang. So probably some big announcements there. We've also got the Xbox Showcase, which is on Sunday the 9th of June at 6 p.m, so a little bit earlier in the afternoon. Hopefully you can join us for that one as well. There is a Ubisoft Forward on the 10th, which is Monday at 8 p.m, but we probably won't be covering that one due to other commitments and stuff as well. So stay tuned for that one. The 2 first ones are live on the channel now, so if you want to bookmark them, you want to save them, tune in for us to watch along, see some good news. There's Call of Duty Direct, there's lots of big game pass announcements, no doubt, for Xbox, so looking forward to it. We'll get into that in the show with our predictions, but just wanted to bookmark it, let you all know there's no live stream this week. There is, however, a 20% discount off the merchandise store until Thursday, so until Summer Game Fest kicks off, why not fill your boots with a wonderful 20% discount off some merch? Thank you to Hjorvar, who's already picked up another sports shirt. Richie, he messaged on YouTube and said that, so that's another sports shirt in the bag. Again, perfect season for it, beautiful weather.
I hear they make you run faster.
They do. They genuinely do. The drinks taste better at the mug, and the running shirts make you run faster, and the dog bandanas make your dog look cool as fuck.
It's true.
All that aside, Richie, it's all about games. I said we've got no live stream this week, but there will be an episode going up of my PlayStation Vita playthrough of Uncharted Golden Abyss. So this is one I didn't even tell you about, but when I've been doing my modding and my alleged modding and hacking of a certain PlayStation Vita TV, I've dived back into the wonderful classic that is Uncharted Golden Abyss, which is the only Uncharted game you've never played. Correct?
Yes, I believe so, yeah.
And probably millions upon millions of other people out there, Uncharted fans and non-Uncharted fans alike. Do you know anything about Golden Abyss?
No.
So I'm going to set the scene. So our guild heroes, shout out to you folks, the wonderful fellas who support us a little bit extra. You get that early. Every episode you're going to get up to a week early before it goes live. I'm going to maybe set the cadence as a Saturday. We'll see. You'll find out. It'll go. But if you remember, you get it anywhere. Untitled Golden Abyss is a prequel, so chronologically it happens before all the other games, which means Nate actually is introduced to other characters who aren't in the main series. So there's a girl called Chase. There's a guy called Dante. There might be some returning familiar characters, but it's set in South America, and you're basically going after something called St. Stephen's Sword. And it's all leading to essentially one of the cities of gold that the Spanish believed there was 7 of, which is the Sete Ciudades. So it's very much typical Uncharted, going through glorious jungle, ruins, figuring out puzzles, but with all the joys of the PlayStation Vita mechanics, which are thrown up some very, very interesting troubles when playing with a DualShock 4, because it doesn't have the camera, it doesn't have the gyro thing, it doesn't have a rear touchpad. There's a lot of stuff I've had to overcome in the game. So very much utilizing the Vita. There's things like on Indiana Jones, he does the grill shaving. Yeah, you do that. So when you find ruins, you basically use the touchscreen to rub out and get a charcoal drawing of them all. There's certain puzzles where you have to hold up the Vita's camera to an actual light to see through the paper. So again, it's very creative, but it doesn't translate to a controller very well. So lots of problems. I do get through it, but it's very interesting to watch me fumble through a couple of them special Vita features, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I'm going to play through the whole thing. I've already got most of it in the bag, so go check it out. Guild Heroes, you get it early. What have you been playing then, Richie? You got back and you've actually spent some money, have you not?
I have. I've dropped a bit of cash.
What have you done?
I bought a Portal. Actually,
from New York to Dublin?
No. I bought a PlayStation Portal. Oh, actually, I bought half of one because my girlfriend bought the other half. So we went halves on it. How it came about, because I stand by everything I've said about the Portal, where it does really need the full cloud gaming support on it, in my opinion, and is quite a niche product without it. But I've now found myself in that niche. There was a few days where, especially over the last week, where, because my girlfriend's a gamer as well, she was playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla on the TV, and I was on my Kishi. So I've dusted off my Kishi to play Jedi Survivor. And I was like, I can see the use of a Portal now.
That's how it gets you.
And I don't have it with me because she's got it at work.
Okay, so it's multitask use then.
Yeah, so if I'm round hers and we're gaming together, I can use the Portal. But then when she's at work, because the nature of her job does mean sometimes she is able to game at work. She's not meant to, but she is able to. So it's a perfect device for her when she's at work as well. Because she used to just prop up a tablet and connect a dual sense, that kind of thing. So it suddenly made sense for us.
Fantastic. And what are your early impressions then? So I've absolutely gushed over it the last couple of months I've had it. It's been perfect for my needs case. What are your first thoughts?
Negatives first. It literally is what I've always said about the Portal. I do think it's a niche thing. 200 isn't too bad. I'm convinced that used to be high. I thought it was 350 originally.
No, but day one 200 for me.
All right. But it does. I do think it needs the full cloud gaming support, and I don't know why it doesn't have it. But that's really the only negatives I have. It works really well. It's a bit of a faff on when you want to use 2 different accounts and flip between them. Because as soon as you switch it on, it starts trying to connect to my PlayStation, but it's literally cancel, settings, scan your QR code, and you're in. So it's not too much of a faff. It's pretty easy for us to switch between us with sharing it. It does exactly what I needed it to.
Feels great, doesn't it? Like
it does. It feels good.
The irony of when they said it's just a dual sense split in 2 is like, that's kind of an odd approach for handheld, but it works
That's
so
what
well.
I want. The Kishi, I've got first generation Kishi. I always felt that it feels like a cheap controller that's split in 2 to stick on a phone. Then they charge you £100 for it, which I paid about 30 second hand. But it always felt cheap and tacky. The Portal feels like a DualSense.
Yeah, it does.
It feels like it's worth the money, and it's got a good screen on it. Yeah,
not OLED, but absolutely gorgeous all the same.
I don't think it needs to be OLED.
I don't.
It's a portable device. I mean, OLED would be better, but then it'd also burn through your battery quicker, and it'd be more expensive. For what it is as a remote play device, I think they've got it right.
Absolutely.
it suits your niche because it does lock down your PlayStation. So if I'm using my Portal, someone else couldn't use my PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
That's where the full cloud gaming support could come into play.
Yeah, that's where the niche really, really drives home, doesn't it, the message? Well,
but I can see myself spending a lot of hours playing that.
Yeah, it's so comfortable, like I said, especially like when you get into like your little FIFA sessions and stuff, it's so easy to just pick up and do half an hour on the couch rather than ironically boot up the TV in front of the couch. It's just convenient. There's something about having it in your face that's either nostalgia from the Game Boy days or it's just easier as we get older with our eyesight to just have it right there front and center.
I should say as well, I haven't used it in my house. I've been connecting to my PlayStation, which is behind me, from my girlfriend's house.
Brilliant. Yeah, we have a few people.
So it's work because you've mainly used yours in your house, haven't you?
Yeah, I've used it once or twice in hotels, but predominantly in the home. Yeah.
Well, yeah, FIFA have been playing, or EA Sports FC. That works quite well in the Portal. Been playing Assassin's Creed 2 on it.
Fantastic.
That's the only thing I've played in the Portal. Other than that, I've just been playing Jedi Survivor. Not very far on that yet, though.
Yeah,
and Dreamlight Valley, we still play
Still chipping. Dreamlight Valley must be the perfect game. My wife plays hers on the Switch, so then it's that again. That handheld form just lends itself well to it.
Over the last week, me and my girlfriend got in the habit of, because we were both off all week, we were getting up, having breakfast, and playing like an hour or two of Dreamlight Valley, just sat on the couch.
Why not?
It just became part of our morning routine.
Chip away at those wood collections.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
She's rolled credits.
Wow. That is a lot of commitment to the world of Disney, but I appreciate it all the same. So handheld's making an absolute resurgence, Richie. I've treated myself with the days of play. I bought myself a cobalt blue controller. You know, I mentioned the blue was gorgeous. It was down to £49, I think, and I got paid just as the days of play started. So it was one of those like, oh, go on then. But in other news, I also treated myself to something else blue, which in my, I'm in this like retro collection phase.
Yeah.
I dip in and out from time to time. I've got my Pokemon collection now, so I've got something else to focus on. Look what I picked up. I'm going to swing across the screen very slowly.
Oh, you got another Vita.
I got another Vita. That is a Sapphire Blue.
That's gorgeous.
PlayStation Vita, and it is beautiful. And it is OLED as well, which the remodel wasn't. But I will say, as well, whoever had this before me, they already did all the hard work for me.
What? What's that?
Okay. So it's like every game you could want on the Vita.
Yeah.
It's on it.
I just downloaded.
It's just got everything ready to go. And the way you get any more is just so easy.
Yeah.
You go to this app and then just search for the name alphabetically and hit download and it does it. And it's like...
Oh, it's the emulator app.
Magic. Absolute magic. It's got some Game Boy Advance stuff on there as well, which I've gone through. So
that's cool.
Cheers to you. And it saves me a lot of faff because I'm new to all this emulator stuff and I've been faffing around with the Vita TV. And the reason I got a second one is I didn't want to jailbreak my original one. There's something about it which I want to preserve it in all its original form, and I don't want the risk. So
you do want to risk breaking it. Yeah. Where if you buy a second-hand one, it's like fuck it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Absolutely. So I got the blue one. It came. It's already done and dusted. So I've been playing so much stuff. I've honestly, I've just been sitting on the couch. What I would normally do with the Portal and just chipping away at bits of nostalgia. So what did I have on here? What have I been playing? Abe's Odyssey, New and Tasty, Hotline Miami, Resogun, Assassin's Creed Chronicles, which I've never played before, Lara Croft Go, bit of FIFA 15. I went back to see how bad that was. Not holds up so well. PlayStation Battle Stars, All Stars, Lego Marvel, which you were saying, Jurassic World, Lego's on here, Lego Lord of the Rings, Killzone Mercenary, Sly Cooper Collection, Rayman Legends, Resistance Burning Skies. It's just the list goes on, but I've been dabbling in for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes of each, just to get a good vibe for it. And I love it. It's great. Screen's gorgeous, fits fine. And why won't PlayStation just forget the Portal and do another handheld? But we digress, Richie. We digress. We're here to talk about what is a very, very busy episode in video game news, but we can't get into all that until you introduce us to the
graciously gathered GamerGuild Gazette, aka the news.
The news. And of course, the news every week is brought to you by our wonderful guild heroes, the fantastic folks who help support the channel that extra little bit further. From as little as 99p, you get this show early, you get my Uncharted Golden Abyss stream early, stickers and badges next to your name, the live chat, and much, much more. Don't forget, 20% off everything in the merchandise store, whether you're a guild hero or not. Go fill your boots. Right, Richie. Great episode. I wanted to start off with some big news that we've kind of and ahed back and forth. Me and Rob spoke about last week, but it's now official. Call of Duty Black Ops 6, the next iteration in the multi-million-dollar selling franchise, one of the biggest franchises of all time, reading from the blog, we're excited to confirm that Game Pass members will be able to jump into Call of Duty Black Ops 6 on day one with Game Pass. Revealed last week, we're also going to have a special showcase followed by a Call of Duty Black Ops Direct on June 9th. Tune in with us this coming Sunday, where we'll share even more details on what's coming for the all-new Call of Duty. They've done it, Richie. They've signed the checkbook. They've balanced the numbers. This year's Call of Duty will not be £70, $70 for most people. It will be free on Game Pass, which we spoke at length about what this means for kind of finances and how you're making money. But does this surprise you? Does this shock you? Is this the right move for Microsoft, or was it an inevitability?
I think it's an inevitability. I think it's something that, as long as they could legally do it, I think they kind of had to do it. Because Microsoft, they're too deep into Game Pass now. It would be hard for them to backtrack. But has there been 5 Black Ops games already?
Yeah. This is what's mad with Call of Duty. Even though it's got its 3 sub-franchises, like Modern Warfare, Black Ops, and the other one, it's mad to think, but then they put one out every year, right? So, it's no surprise it racks up very, very quickly. But yeah, Call of Duty Black Ops 6, which I think for a lot of people, that's the one that comes with the zombies. So it's usually most people's kind of favourite one outside of Modern Warfare, I think.
Yeah, it originally was Modern Warfare and Black Ops. Because they did Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, then it was World at War, then it was Modern Warfare 2, then it was Black Ops, if I remember rightly. Yeah,
the other ones had they had Ghosts and World at War, and there was always the third random child that no one wanted in the mix, but still sold gangbusters, of course. But now we've got Warzone, which is the other oddity of it all. But hey, you know what? We've said, I think, time and time again, I am a Call of Duty fan. I'm just a lapsed Call of Duty fan because I think we had so much of it in our youth growing up. I think I just evolved onto different things, but if it's free, I'm 100% checking this out.
And they doubled down on the multiplayer and let the single player kind of fall apart a bit. And that's where I think when you're paying $70 or whatever it is for a brand new game and you're mainly interested in the single player and the single player is a 10-hour campaign, it feels way overpriced if you're not asked about the multiplayer.
Yeah.
Which I'm no longer asked about the multiplayer. So it's if you get 1, 2, 300 hours out of the multiplayer, it's totally worth the money. That was what kind of pushed me away from it. Is I'm not interested in the multiplayer. I can't justify the cost.
Yeah. Black Ops 4 was the one that didn't have a campaign. If you remember, they announced a couple of weeks, months beforehand that they were going to drop the single-player campaign mode and focus on Specialist HQ and backstories for certain characters in the game. And that, for me, was I'm done with Call of Duty completely. If you're getting rid of the campaign completely, as you've just mentioned, I enjoy dabbling in the multiplayer, but I do not have the reflexes or the patience with dickheads online to deal with it anymore. I'm beyond that. So having it back, hopefully it'll have a great campaign. And if we get kind of an announcement, I think our vibe, we'll get into our predictions later on, but my vibe is that in the lead up to this coming later this year, we're going to get all the other Black Ops titles or a couple spread out between, probably announced this Sunday, and it'll probably be a stealth drop of all the previous Call of Duties, or some of them, straight into Game Pass. Enjoy them in the lead up to Black Ops 6.
I don't know whether it'll be in the main Xbox showcase or whether it'll be in the Call of Duty side bit, but I think you're going to hear about some other Call of Duty games coming to Game Pass.
This could be a good transition from the showcase into that. So end the showcase with Call of Duty games coming now. Now let's head over and check out the next installment of it. But at least we don't have to wait long. That's great about this news is now it's official. We find out more in less than 6 days.
Yeah.
Which is terrific. So excited. Will you be checking it out? I guess we'll be doing it on the channel, right?
Yeah, we'll be doing it on the channel.
Because arguably one of the biggest games of the year, and we don't have to pay for it now.
Yeah, so we'll probably do a stream. I don't know whether we'll do single player, multiplayer, or some combination too. We'll figure out that closer to release. Yeah, but we will be playing on channel. I think it'd be cool if we could get a lot like a private match going with just some of our audience.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so you're not playing with random dickheads online, telling how much they're going to do things to your mother.
Oh, absolutely. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We'll see what it's like. It's always, again, Call of Duty, for even though we don't play it, I always still appreciate it for, it got the best shooting mechanics on the go, hands down. It's just so natural. It redefined what a first-person shooter was. I'd say Doom kicked it off, and then Call of Duty refined it for me.
Well, yeah, I think Doom... you have these tentpole games, I think, in first-person shooters. Doom was definitely one of them. Mm-hmm. I think GoldenEye on the N64 is
that's a
one
good
of them.
shout. That's a good shout, yeah.
I put Turok on that list because that kind of started the move for me towards the dual stick aiming. Mm-hmm. Although the N64 only had a single thing, you used the C buttons to move, so you were starting to move in that direction. Call of Duty 4 was definitely a tentpole moment in first-person shooter gaming.
Yeah,
I feel like we're waiting for the next one though now, because I don't think there has been one since Call of Duty 4.
No, well, we may get a Battlefield announcement at some point. They might do something. Obviously, Apex and stuff's all taken away. But yeah, and we've got a couple of games to talk about from the PlayStation State of Play. But will they redefine it? Who knows? Who knows? So yeah, exciting stuff. Call of Duty Black Ops 6 coming to Game Pass day one, which now they've set that tone. That surely means every Call of Duty has to be like, if Microsoft have to back out on whatever the next year's Call of Duty is, that's a bad look for Game Pass and everything. But we'll cross that bridge, I think, when we get to it, because it's a while off yet. Moving on, I mentioned the State of Play, and we had a 35-minute showcase this past Thursday. We didn't cover it on the channel because, as we said, Richie was on holiday. I was away with my family, so we didn't quite get around to covering it. But let's break it down. We won't do every single game because there was a couple in there that maybe aren't. They're more there for like just filler, like you always get in these type of showcases. What I did want to start off with, though, Richie, is number one, the biggest game to come out of the whole thing. I've been clamoring for it. We got it. Astrobot is back in a supersized space adventure, his biggest adventure to date in a brand new game. It's going to explore 6 galaxies and over 80 levels in search of Astro's scattered crew. Game comes out 6th of September, so you don't even have to wait that long. This trailer just basically gave me everything I could have wanted to see from an Astro game, and obviously we didn't watch it together. Throw it over to you. What's your initial first thoughts?
For Astrobot, I thought the game looks absolutely amazing. It's exactly what I'd want in a 3D modern platformer. Like, it doesn't take itself too seriously. I like all the nods to the PlayStation lore. I think there's at one point where he gets Kratos' axe.
Yeah, he does.
His spaceship is like a DualSense, like modified into a spaceship. It's if you take Astrobot's Playroom from like the basic, which is a tech demo really for the PS5, and it looks like they've done that. There's a really cool game in here. Let's turn this into a full gaming experience. Done. It looks awesome.
Yeah, I had so much fun in Astro's Playroom. If you've got a PS5 and you've not played it, it's pre-installed. But yeah, it was just like you said, it was basically a modern version of Mario 64 for me.
Yeah,
just loads of different worlds. The DualSense just absolutely sings in this game. Like the noises and sound effects and the rumble, it utilizes it so well. And I expect that exact same mechanic, but amplified by 80 levels. That's so cool, the variety you're going to see. And as you said, the biggest thing for me was the PlayStation nostalgia that they sprinkle into it. We saw Nathan Drake, we saw Journey, we saw I'm blanking on the name all of a sudden, where you go hunt the big giants, Shadow of the Colossus. You saw like all those things coming across, and it just looks whimsical. Their ships are PlayStation 4s, 5s and everything.
They could have shied away from, like, with Playroom, they made it all about the PlayStation 5 and every area was based on the feature of the PlayStation 5. They could have shied away from, like, having Astrobot Soul linked heavily, just done his own thing. I'm glad they didn't. I really do like the fact that they went, sod it, we are making this very PlayStation. There's consoles and controllers and references to other PlayStation franchises everywhere. And I think as a PlayStation fan, you're just going to have such a nostalgia trip on this. It's going to be amazing.
This is where I'm hoping the levels kind of come to life with the characters. I think when we bump into Kratos, I'd love that to be like a God of War
area
level. Yeah, absolutely. If we bump into Nathan Drake, and I hope you get to almost like to play as them temporarily. So you're Astro, but then when you bump into these characters, you play the rest of that level as Nathan Drake, as Aloy, as Kratos.
Like a Kirby situation where you absorb the powers of enemies or other characters, and you get their abilities. So Astrobot gets Kratos' axe and then looks a bit like Kratos. It looks like Astrobot cosplaying as Kratos, but has his axe.
Absolutely. Yeah. Terrific. I'm all down for that. And again, the chance for nostalgia there is great, but it did it so well in the first game. you absolutely love to see it. And at the end of the trailer, it shows like them all taken off, and just seeing like the PlayStation 2 multi-tap cable and the iToy and the UMD discs from the PSP all being like little separate ships. It's a fantastic trailer. I just can't wait to get into it.
You know, in the Lego games, you play through a level, and then you get unlock free play. You can go back and you can change up what characters you use. What if, through the course of this, say once you've met Kratos and you completed his level, you unlock like Kratos, so you can switch into Kratos' abilities and go back to earlier levels to unlock other areas where you needed his axe.
Yeah, nice bit of replayability there.
Yeah.
No, you're right. I absolutely love it.
Damn it, it's going to be good.
Again, like the team of Sobo who absolutely killed it on the fest. And the VR game is great, by the way. Astro's Rescue Mission on the VR. It's like playing Mario 64, but you are in the world, so you're like a god character. You know, like the giants you see, like the white metal giants that sometimes appear in the game, and they help you, like they pick you up and carry you from like floating island to floating island. In the VR game, you are one, and you're overlooking Astro in the world, so you look around and you can see him running at your feet and stuff in VR. It unfortunately does signify that maybe VR is officially dead, this state of play. We got 2 game announcements. Astrobot being the mascot for VR initially, and now he's getting a fully fledged game, but not for VR, is kind of a sign of the times, but we won't lament too much on that. But in terms of the game, surprised by the name? I quite appreciate them just giving it's Astrobot.
Yeah, this is Astrobot. This is the game you've been asking for. That is how it feels. Like everyone who's played Astrobot's Playroom, when you should do that but bigger, make that into a full gaming experience. And it seems like that's what they've done. I'm just calling this Astrobot. I can see again they can bring out DLC with new areas related to new games that come out. You never know. You might get like a Final Fantasy area.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it in the first one.
Yeah,
there was, I think, Cloud. Right, there was one dressed up as Cloud you could find in the tech demo version in Playroom.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So you can do stuff like that. You could make this almost a platform to keep adding to. Yeah.
Just make partnerships. Like Smash Bros, right? Just as long as you go have the conversation, make the deal, I'm sure every developer under the sun would be happy to just put their character in a game as whimsical and fun as this. And what I do love about it is just, I think PlayStation for some time have needed a family-friendly game.
Yeah.
Because Nintendo thrive off being there for families and kids and young ages, because they are gamers. There's billions of them out there. And PlayStation have always skewed more towards more mature audience. If you think of like The Last of Us and God of War, like they are some brutal games. But let's not forget, we all started as kids when we were gamers, playing Sonic, playing Crash Bandicoot, playing Spyro, and if they didn't exist, we might not be gamers. So the future generation can play the hell out of Astrobot. I think it's going to be co-op as well, because there's that little fox, it's the fox in the trailer show up.
Yeah.
I think between that and maybe meeting Kratos and Drake and Aloy and stuff, there might be a co-op multiplayer element. They've not announced it yet, but maybe it's DLC. We'll see. Or a second game, Astrobot 2.
Yeah, and you get the equivalent of Tails.
Yeah, and he's the literal fox. But yeah, I will say, before we wrap on the Astrobot stuff, price. You thinking this is full 70, or are we thinking more the $49.99 mark?
I think it should be the $49.99. I think it will be full 70.
Because they've committed in the past PlayStation, every first-party game will be 70, is what they've said, right?
Yeah.
And have we seen any lapses in that yet? I don't think so. Let me know in the chat and the comments if we're wrong.
The only reason I'm thinking it's maybe a bit of snobbery because it's a platform that I think it should be cheaper. The polish looks there, 80 levels, and if, as I said, some of these levels are replayable, it means you can unlock other areas as you unlock more characters or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
There could be like easy 60 to 100 hours in this game. Well, if you say an hour a level, that's 80 hours.
Even if it's half, it's still 40.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is something. I mean, Nintendo do it, right? They just say that's the price, get over it. And people buy it en masse. So it is almost like, do you stand your ground and hope that the quality shines through?
I do think it is a bit snobbery. It probably deserves the full price tag.
Yeah. So either way, Astrobot cannot wait. And I'm so glad we don't have to wait too long. September 6th. That's so close. When you think about it, it's amazing. Yeah. So, Astrobot, we might see a little bit more at this week's Summer Game Fest, so keep your eyes peeled. But yeah, cannot wait. I think that was the biggest one. That got the biggest pop. That was the game they left to the end of the showcase, so we're kind of doing this in reverse order. Let's go back to the beginning of the showcase, Richie, which is with Concord. So we knew Concord was going to be here. It was going to be teased. The State of Play revealed the first look at gameplay. the universe and the characters of Concord, as well as how and when you'll be able to get your hands on this 5v5 character-driven and first-person multiplayer shooter. There is a beta planned for later this year, followed by the global launch on August 23rd, 2024, simultaneously on PS5 and PC. So they're going for a Helldivers play on this one, which I think might actually help them out quite a lot, because I watched the trailer. I thought it was all obviously cutscene, but it was all very fun, very whimsical. It reminded me a lot of Guardians of the Galaxy, introducing me to a ragtag group of characters with various special abilities and curiosities. There's very much like a Drax character, Star-Lord character, a Hulk character in here as well. It seemed fun. Gameplay, the comedy, I kind of dug it, actually, with the hot sauce guy and the guy who could turn into crystal and everything. Really, really enjoyed it. And then it got to the actual game itself, and it was revealed to be the 5v5 character-driven. And everything we've just said about Call of Duty, it's amplified and echoed by this Overwatch-esque aesthetic, where it does nothing for me. I was like, super cool if this is a single-player thing, and then as soon as it went, it's 5v5, I just picture in my head, I'm going to die loads of times, I'm not going to get my head around the mechanics of each character, and I might, I might have fun, I probably will. We would probably have a great laugh on stream, but I don't have the time to get good. Yeah, and that's an unfortunate shame. But it looks polished, it looks clean, and it does look like, if you told me this was Overwatch without knowing, I'd be like, yeah.
That was my takeaway. This looks like Overwatch made by PlayStation. And I don't really have much else to say. I don't really have much else to say about it. This could be a runaway hit, but it could also just come out and go, no one's interested. I really have no idea how this will land, because we see that with games as a service all the time. I'm not interested in this game. Like, there's a lot of cutscenes. Like, cool, you got the characters have some personality, but then it doesn't really matter when it's just a 5v5 arena shooter.
Yeah.
I don't see myself wanting to play this game, to be honest. Again, on stream, we could have a laugh, but it's going to be probably full price. I'm not paying 70 quid for one stream. You said you don't have the time to get good. I don't even want to. It's not a sort of game that I'm interested in, so it does look good, but it's very much hard pass for me.
It's one of them, because later in the stream, we won't really go into it because we spoke about it before, but Marvel's Rivals was also shown off as well, and that's essentially the same thing, but with the Marvel IP from all intents and purposes. Even has like the same layout as Overwatch does in terms of the gameplay. That's the one from NetEase that was coming to mobile initially, and it kind of clashes a little bit with this one. But I think what you said, Concord's going to be free to play, right? From what we know.
I'm not sure. Is it going to be free to play?
I'm looking at an article from Push Square, and it says fans are trying to figure out if it's actually free to play, because it looks like it's going to actually have some kind of paid components. But a lot of free-to-play games have like a launch, like Founders Pack, don't they, with cosmetics and like booster weapons and in-game perks.
It might be a Helldivers situation where it's a
lower
entry, but then it's got
yeah. Let's see. So it says on this post, however, the small print on the PlayStation blog mentions PlayStation Plus is required to play Concord on PS5, which is usually the requirement for any free-to-play games as well, like Fortnite. It does suggest the shooter will come with a price tag attached, presumably a budget one like Helldivers earlier this year, which is an interesting risk, because, again, if you've got other games that are free and they're already established on the market, this is where the hurdle is. People expect free now, and if you don't give them it, they'll just keep playing their Valorants, their Overwatches that they've already got and invested hours upon hours in the characters and with these worlds.
I think the downside with a game like this, it's because it's a PlayStation exclusive. PlayStation do not make it easy for you to game on the go. I can't use my Kishi on my phone to play on the PlayStation because I don't have the right controller.
You need a backbone.
So if I'm looking at this game, you want the kids. It's aiming at the kids' audience, isn't it? Who are going to probably want to play a lot on the phone when they're at school and whatever, when they shouldn't be playing. So you'd have to have a PlayStation backbone, where with things like Overwatch, you could just use a Kishi or any backbone or probably touchscreen. I think, and then if you put a price point in front of it, I think there's a lot of kids going to be interested, then go, I'm going to spend my pocket money on more, more Fortnite skins. Yeah. So I don't know. This is why I say I could see this going either way. It could be a runaway hit in like the multiplayer space because I think the game looks like it's got enough polish and it's got the charisma to do it. But it could also be a lot of people just look at it and go, "Yeah, look, it seems fine," and just bounce off it.
Yeah, it could just come across as generic. But you're right. I think it has that polish.
I just don't know enough to predict, to be honest, on this because I'm not involved in that space.
Yeah,
I hope it does well because I hope any game that comes out does well. But it does, in my mind, have a question mark next to it.
Yeah, I think it could be, flip of a coin. I think depending on the weather, depending on what else comes out around it, depending on how much they market it. Because again, Helldivers caught everybody out.
Yeah.
So you just
PC's
never know.
Good. PC's a good move.
Yeah,
I think
that's smart. Yeah, because that's an entire audience unto itself who usually, due to the mouse and keyboard, like Twitch gameplay style, because they'll thrive on this type of game.
Yeah, I mean the hero shooter kind of started all the way back with like Quake.
Yeah,
I think it was Quake. Let me know in the comments if I'm wrong, but I'm sure it was like Quake Arena or something. It's like that's kind of the origins of this kind of 5v5 kind of combat. Obviously, Overwatch is probably the biggest exponent of it. Again, that was largely dominated in the PC space and came over console a bit later.
Yeah, but
so
either way, we'll have to wait and see. With Concord, for Firewalk, of course, PlayStation bought Firewalk Studios off the back of this game, so they must have seen something good in it. And games as a service. Let's see how it does, PlayStation. Second crack at the whip after Helldivers. Fingers crossed for you. Fingers crossed for you. Speaking of PC, we did get the quick announcement that God of War Ragnarok will be coming to PC. I think we reported on this a couple of episodes back. It's part of a leak. It's going to come to PC on September 19th, later this year. It's going to feature everything as you'd expect from it. All the DLCs included, ultra widescreen monitor, uncapped frame rates, everything expect. God of War Ragnarok, phenomenal game. If you haven't played it yet and you do have a PC, go check it out. We also got a gameplay trailer for Until Dawn, which again we spoke about earlier in the year. We got a previous trailer. This one showed off a bit more detail. Nothing really to know about this one. It's going to drop. I don't know if they actually gave it a date, but Until Dawn's great. This is a remaster of it.
I'm not sure why we need a remaster of Until Dawn. It stands up already.
I think we covered it when we initially talked about it. It was just repackaging for Halloween and getting out on next gen.
The only thing I can think of is it puts it in front of a new audience.
Yeah, that's about it. If you got a PS5, you might not have played this if you didn't have a PS4. Here it is. And again, a lot of the characters in it, they are recognizable. We've said this before. Like, they've gone on to have amazing careers, like Rami Malek and stuff. So it might pull a couple of people in who've not seen it. And if you hit it around spooky season, you're probably going to pick up a few additional sales just for the time of year it actually is. So no surprise.
It didn't say too long though in the trailer. Same with God of War. Like it was them trailers were in and out. It was like good. It's here. Now we're moving on.
Yeah, that's what you want them to be. Speaking of in and out, we got a look at Skydance's Behemoth, which looks like it's going to be their version of Asgard's Wrath for the Quest. This looks like it could be the next big thing for PlayStation VR. The only downside to it, I guess, Richie, as I mentioned earlier on, is we got 2 games announced for PlayStation VR 2 at the showcase. And don't get me wrong, Behemoth looks terrific. It looks super fun. It looks really immersive. Everything I'd expect. Fighting giant creatures. Very much The Witcher in first person, from the looks of it. New IP. Super crisp and clean. But in terms of support, PlayStation just ain't bothering with VR2 either. Nothing from their first party outside of the Horizon game. We've got one first party game truly from them.
It might just be. I still think PSVR 2. They've changed the strategy. They've probably deprioritized it, but they might now just see it as a slow burn. So they're going to slowly support titles, and over the course of the lifespan, you might end up with a solid library. But again, I think with VR, I always come back to, are the games good enough to warrant the price point of the peripheral? And I don't think they are. You might get the odd one that is, but for every one VR game that's good enough to maybe make you turn your head, there's probably about 10 games that don't require VR that would do the same thing.
Yeah, it's reaching make or break point. We reported on it last month, actually. There was a PlayStation VR 2 PC adapter that was rated in South Korea, I believe it was, for kind of testing and stuff like that. I figured there would maybe be a blog post or announcement saying that it's coming to PC as well via this USB adapter. We'll have to wait and see. Sony might have other plans for that. We might actually hear something. Again, all of this, people lamenting the state of play, you don't realise that we've actually got probably a couple of PlayStation announcements at Summer Game Fest as well. They've often handed over a couple of things there. So Jeff Keighley might garner a bigger audience. So we'll see. But yeah, Behemoth looked great. I just expected a bit more to be shown. Although I don't have a VR2 headset, I want it to do well for the sake of like pushing the technology forward. And without us going and getting an Apple Pro Vision for $3,500, I like to keep it on the cheaper side. But moving on to other games, anything stand out for you? We got a couple more.
Alien Rogue Incursion, while we're talking about VR, looks pretty cool. Again, another decent VR experience. But like I said with Behemoth, they look good, but there's not enough games to make me want to go, I need to buy this additional peripheral when I've got a library of games I've never played.
Yeah. Yeah, good shout on this one. If you took Alien Isolation and basically put it in VR, that's just going to only make it scarier, right?
Yeah. Other than that, I think Where the Winds Meet, I thought when we initially saw it, it looked like pretty cool, like almost like Ghost of Tsushima set in China with a bit of like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. This trailer kind of soured it for me. It looks kind of crap, to be honest. I don't know what it was about it. I was watching the trailer and I was like, oh, this is the game. Oh, it doesn't look as good as I was hoping.
Didn't do it justice. Yeah, It seemed to get a bit carried away in itself. It didn't actually get much of a slot either. It was just more like, oh, here it is. It felt like a filler clip, getting a bit lost in what it was. But yeah, Where the Winds Meet, they didn't give a date on it either. They just said in development for PlayStation 5, which I think is why my interest drops off. I'm like, well, if you're not giving us even like a small time window, I'll get back to this one when they show a little bit more of it.
Yeah.
Speaking of one they showed a little bit more of, Silent Hill 2 launches October 8th. We got a date for it on PlayStation. Is it just me, or does Silent Hill 2, the more they show of it, the worse it looks? I know there's a couple of people on our Discord who like are all down for ready for it, but I think someone in our Discord did say like the benchmark for survival horror now is Dead Space remake and the Resident Evil series in the new RE engine. And there's a couple of things from the trailer that just make me look like character models look clunky, the movement looks clunky, and I think from what in my mind I'm expecting from survival horror, I expect better in a way, even though it's a different studio, different developer. I think there's such a high benchmark thanks to these remakes. I don't know. What do you think? Like, I remember very, very briefly playing Silent Hill back in the day, so I've got no like affection for it really.
I know Silent Hill more through pop culture than actual gaming, playing it myself. I thought it looked solid, to be honest, but I'm not a survival horror person. It could be a price point thing as well. If this comes out, I say £50 rather than 70. You go, oh, fair enough.
Yeah. It still bugs me that they did the approach of Resident Evil as well by doing 2 instead of 1 first.
Yeah.
Like if I'm a lapsed gamer and I maybe never played it but remember it from back in the day, starting at number 2 just puts me off even more. I'm sure I've complained about this before, but that's just me. Speaking of the comments, the top one on YouTube is hilarious. It says, just when I thought James's redesign is bad, then here is Angela. So I'm guessing Angela looks a little bit worse. But either way, we won't criticize too much because again, different budgets and different plans. But a couple of people saying, yeah, it wasn't made by passionate devs at all. How can the PS2 version of Angela look way better than this one?
I think
Angela looks like a Life is Strange character.
Saying the devs aren't passionate, I think is harsh.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They probably might be stuck with limitations and things in budget and stuff.
Yeah.
Where I think with Capcom, they know what they've got with Resident Evil. Resident Evil will always sell incredibly well. Even the weaker games in the franchise sold incredibly well. Yeah. So it's easier for Capcom to give it a huge budget. I still think it's weird to start with Silent Hill 2 when it was the remakes, not 1.
But they did it with Resi, so...
Yeah.
Speaking of Capcom though, Richie, one of the games that did do amazingly well out of it was Monster Hunter Wilds, the next massive entry in the Monster Hunter action RPG series. Should offer a rich, living world where you're able to explore, coming to PS5 in 2025. I'm one who I appreciate Monster Hunter from a distance.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Looks great. It's basically just like Pokemon, right? Like on massive scale. You go hunt massive monsters, you fight them, and you capture all the I guess, entrails and stuff to make things like suits and skins and crocodile bags and whatnot.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about Monster Hunter. I've never seen anything about Monster Hunter went, I need to play that. But I think they are good games. They're a very solid games. They've got a passionate fan base. And I might even enjoy it if I played it. But I'm not drawn to it.
Capcom's biggest selling game of all time, over Resident Evil, was the last Monster Hunter. So it's obviously one. This is kind of, I think, the Monster Hunter success paired with Resident Evil has gave Capcom such a like a revival of their fortunes. It's
one where it was kind of stuck on the Vita, really, wasn't it? And when they've made its way to home consoles, it's really stepped up its game when it found a bigger audience.
Yeah, well, we got the one on the Switch, the exclusive one on the Switch as well, that then came to other platforms. So there's clearly a hunger for it. And yeah, Monster Hunter Wilds, this just, I think, from everyone I've spoke to who is a Monster Hunter fan, this is just like ticking all their boxes. It's a more living world. There's going to be more characters involved to move around. There's going to be more cutscenes, some more interaction with actual NPCs and stuff to kind of give you missions. Usually it's have a quick chat, go out and do the mission. Whereas they've said this time you're going to be able to engage with fully voiced conversations, deepening your connection to people you meet along the way, changing environments with weather conditions that transform in unexpected ways. So it looks very much like they've doubled down on the stuff that works, and they're just refining it a lot more with new beasts, new characters, new exploration changes. So it's kind of everything I would want from a follow-up to a mega successful game. And Monster Hunter Wilds. Can't wait to see what that one is. Anything stand out for you then, Richie, while we wind down? I think I've got one more.
I know my girlfriend was interested in Infinite Nikki, but she was like, definitely need to see more, because it did look just like every scene, it looked almost like Dreamlight Valley-esque, more story-focused, but everything seemed to be taking photos. So we need to see more of what that gameplay actually is.
Yeah, I think Infinite Nikki's from like a series that's been going for absolutely years, and it reminds me of why can't I think of the name of it? What's the free-to-play one? Genshin Impact? That just like everybody plays, and it's like it's got millions and millions of players, and you never quite know how or why. But yeah, this is like the first open world version of this game, but I'm pretty sure there's multiple entries in the series. But yeah, curious. The final one for me was Dynasty Warriors Origins. And the reason I say that is I'm a huge Dynasty Warriors fan. I played them all throughout my childhood with my brother on co-op, going in a Mustang mode and just kicking the shit out of yellow turbans all over the place and fighting Lubu and dying massively. But a lot of my knowledge of kind of Chinese folklore, Chinese history comes from these games. Like I remember when our friend who moved out to China, who I was talking to him the last time he was back, and he was like just amazed at how much I knew about the area that he lives in and the people I guess he's learned about while he's lived over there for a couple of years now. And he's like, how do you know like the names and everything of all these people, like leaders and kings and soldiers? And I was like, it's a video game. I played so much as a child, like I know the entire history of it all. Probably more so than our old British history, but Dynasty Warriors Origins, it's Omega Force, they're back. This is essentially the 10th entry in the series, and that's not including the spin-offs or Empires or Kessen or Samurai Warriors or Gundam Warriors. Hyrule. Yeah, this is going to take the largest battle scenes ever in a Musou game from Dynasty Warriors Origins. You're going to play as an unknown protagonist, work you up through the ranks as they tell, of course, the story of the Three Kingdoms. A new hero emerges for survival. It's next-gen only. It's Origins, so they've not put a number on it, which I kind of guess draws a line under it. And I was talking to my brother about it over the weekend. And we're both excited, but we want to see a little bit more from it.
Yeah. The one last thing I want to mention is actually Ballad of Antara. It looks like it could be like it's an action RPG. It looks pretty interesting. It seems like there's an interesting cast of characters. Look like they could play differently, but it's very much need to see more of what this game actually is. But I think there could be potentially something really cool there.
Free to play.
Was Ballad of Antara free to play?
That's what it says on the blog post, yep.
Oh, all right.
Free to play fantasy action RPG coming to PlayStation in 2025.
Okay, that's...
Again, the race to the bottom. The race to the bottom.
That's weird because it looks like a single player experience, but again, even more reason why I need to see more.
Who knows? But yeah, it looks fantastic.
Yeah.
But that's it for the state of play. A lot of people annoyed this wasn't a showcase. I think we were all expecting a showcase. And another event passes by, Richie, where we don't know what PlayStation's first-party studios are working on. What are Naughty Dog up to? What are Sucker Punch up to? When are they going to tease Ghost of Tsushima 2? What do you think this means? Do we think we get a showcase this year, or are they holding out for after Summer Games Fest? Or do you think maybe they've given Jeff Keighley a couple of things to sprinkle into his showcase?
I think if they don't have enough solid stuff for showcase, I might just give Jeff Keighley a couple of titles. Because I still think that every month that passes, they're proving me right, where I think because of the change in direction where they wanted to double down on games as a service, and then they've backtracked on that, has left them in a situation where there might be a year or two gap where there's a bit of a limbo where the first party single player titles that they seem to be going back towards are still a bit too far off, and the games as a service stuff that were meant to be in the interim have been cut. So I think next year might be quite quiet for PlayStation first party. But you only need one or two big hits, I think, a year though to cover it.
Well, yeah, what did we get? We got Spider-Man 2 last year, right?
Yeah. So if they go Ghost of Tsushima 2 is coming out this winter, it's forgotten about.
I think it might be a bit soon for this winter, but...
Is it?
I mean...
It was 2018, wasn't it? Ghost of Tsushima.
2020. Same as Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah, it's 4 years, so it's doable.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if not. I just think, as you said, do they need it? That's the weird thing, isn't it? Because of,
I think they needed an announce. They might not need the game this year, but they needed something like a Ghost of Tsushima 2 announcement this year. Just
what they did with Ragnarok. Just shows the title card at the end, shows some wind and some cherry blossom blowing by, and gives us a little
2025.
And then that'll be like, oh my word, I'm so hyped. Like they did with Ragnarok. They just played the do, 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 and the ice came on screen. It just said Ragnarok, and everyone flipped out. But instead, we got Astrobot to kind of round out the state of play. So we'll see. Again, I'm content. I've got Star Wars Outlaws and Assassin's Creed later this year. So there's more than enough games to play.
Because I've got a million games I've never played.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with them having a bit of a slow year. It's... knowing what's coming, that's where I'm with PlayStation. Like, I want to see some announcements that get me excited for PlayStation again, because at the moment they've been very quiet.
Very quiet.
I think it is that games as a service thing where they're now backtracking on it. So, like you mentioned, Naughty Dog, they spent years working on a multiplayer game which has now been cancelled. So they might be hard at work on Last of Us 3 now, but that'll be early development.
Yeah. And playing Uncharted Golden Abyss, I've said multiple times through the episodes of just like, this is really making me just like wish we had another Uncharted on the horizon.
Yeah.
Because it's been since like 2017. So you say there about the 4-year dev cycle for Ghost of Tsushima. We haven't had an Uncharted game since 2017.
See,
which is crazy.
I think Uncharted has probably got... Sony need to probably take it off Naughty Dog.
I hope they did many years ago. And there's a new one due out soon with a different protagonist.
Yeah.
But... I tell you what, Richie, you won't have to wait long for, and that is June's PlayStation Plus games, because not only did the State of Play kind of showcase what's coming next, but they also dropped the the Days of Play sale, which happens every single summer, highlighting things. There's various discounts on the moment. I mentioned at the top of the show, I got a controller. There's a couple of people looking at discounts for PlayStation Plus. Game announcements really quickly for June. You'll be able to claim them from the 4th of June. So actually, by the time you get this episode, it'll be tomorrow. SpongeBob, SquarePants, The Cosmic Shake, the latest entry in the SpongeBob game series, Streets of Rage 4, and AEW Fight Forever, which of course is the kind of WWE 2K alternative with AEW, trying to branch away from WWE. Mid-month, Richie?
Week.
I would say week. I guess SpongeBob if you got family. Streets of Rage 4 is good, but it's a 2D brawler side-scrolling. And if you're not a wrestling fan, you can write off AEW. Because you might even be a wrestling fan, but if you're probably WWE, you might write off AEW anyway.
I think SpongeBob is competent game for kids. Streets of Rage 4, if you have a lot of nostalgia for like side-scroller beat-em-ups, there's a decent game in there. And AEW is the wrestling game that you probably didn't want.
Yeah,
you probably want the WWE one.
It's kind of telling that they didn't put one of them as like, one of the images for the cover art is usually the biggest, and then the smaller ones with it. That's their decision to go like last the catalog update was Red Dead Redemption was like bang right in the middle. That's the big entry we're shouting about. And these are all the same size, and there's only 3. So yeah, I think a week a month, probably focusing on the days of play discounts and some other news.
I think it's intentionally weak.
Yeah,
because we've got a sale coming out. We'll put a few, not bad games, just not exciting games.
Mm-hmm.
Because then we do have some exciting games in the days of play discount. I know my girlfriend just bought the BioShock collection. I've just bought Cyberpunk.
Nice. So we're spending money without claiming, which is what they want.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. They also added some more things to the classic catalogue. We've got some PSVR 2 games, so shout out to PSVR 2. Before Your Eyes, Walkabout, Ghostbusters Rise of the Ghost Lord, Frozen Empire, which is the most ridiculous long name, Sins and Sinners Retribution, and Synth Riders has been added. The PS2 Classics catalogue has got Tomb Raider Legends, Sly Cooper, Thieves Raccoonus, and Star Wars The Clone Wars has been added to play, which there was a little side story, which we won't go into, about it looks like PS2 emulation is back on track now. It looks like they're using a different form of emulation. So, on the PS4, they kind of went back and they did some of the Grand Theft Auto games, which were then pulled. Then they did like War of the Monsters and stuff. They did like a couple of select PS2 titles, and then they just stopped early in the PS4 life cycle. And then now we've got these PSP games coming across. Seemingly, they've cracked the emulation of PS2 on PS5 again. So I wouldn't be surprised if the PlayStation Plus Premium Library is now, we've seen PSP games, we've seen PS1 games. I think we're going to start to creep into the PS2 catalogue now with this. So Tomb Raider Legends, great game. Sly Cooper, great game. And Star Wars Clone Wars, decent. So that's a good couple been added to the catalogue there. In and amongst that, we've also had GTA San Andreas, which is the PS4, PS2 version, Lego Superheroes 2, Cricket 24, and Dredge added to the catalogue. Along with some new game trials and such. And as Richie said, the discounts, there's certain campaigns going for your PlayStation Star reward points, which you can in turn spend on games. So loads going on, and discounts across hardware as well, including PSVR 2. So plenty of stuff going on, plenty of promos to throw about. Have a look, check them out. Now, Richie.
Yes.
Let's get into the kind of big chunk of the episode I want to spend next, which is our Summer Game Fest predictions. Because, as I said, we're covering it this week. Don't forget to join us on Friday and Sunday for the Summer Game Fest live event with Jeff and the Xbox Showcase with, no doubt, Phil Spencer. We like to theorize, we like to predict. We've had a state of play now, so you kind of had a Sony taken off the table, you would think. But there are a lot of third-party deals out there. There's a lot of friends of Jeff's who like to show up for these events, like the Game Awards. I'll throw it over to you to kickstart. Anything in particular you're expecting to see at the Game Fest this summer? Because I'm kind of in a place where I'm not really too sure what to see.
Death Stranding 2.
Yeah, it's Jeff's best mate, Kojima.
Yeah. Did we ever get a release date for that?
No.
Yeah, this might be release date then. But it does seem like that's the place it's going to be. It'll either be here or Game Awards.
Yeah,
it might even double dip with Death Stranding 2. If they are getting ready, if it's going to be like an early 2025 release, they might double dip on it. Yeah, where they go 2025 here, then at Game Awards they go, here's your actual date.
Yeah, you've really got to think with Jeff's events of like third parties. So the ones who have no presence, so like EA have no presence at this award. All the indie titles have no presence.
Ubisoft sometimes double dip.
Yeah, to pad it out they do. So, but I'd imagine with the Ubisoft Forward being on the Monday,
literally like 2 years later.
But then again, the same as this, they dropped their Assassin's Creed Valhalla stuff randomly on a YouTube video and a blog post midweek, like a fortnight ago, as opposed to saving it for their Forward. So Ubisoft be a bit crazy. Remember, Ubisoft make good games, bad decisions.
I think though, with Assassin's Creed Shadows, it might be he's a kind of a slightly narrative-y thing, and then at the Forward they might go a deep dive into gameplay. So that they might be intentionally double dipping on that game. Yeah. And that's why they put one out ahead of time
to really showcase it.
So let's write off Ubisoft, even though I do think there's a chance of a double dip between the Ubisoft Forward and Opening Night Live.
Yeah.
EA we could see some Star Wars. If EA and not having announced their own thing, that's the big game they've got coming this year. You think they're going to have to put a trailer somewhere. This could be it.
Yeah, but what Star Wars would they have in the line? They cancelled the shooter. Outlaws is Ubisoft.
Oh yeah, Outlaws is Ubisoft. I keep thinking
I think it was EA.
Yeah, I was thinking it's EA. Yeah.
When you say Star Wars, I was like, do you know something I don't know about EA Star Wars?
No, I was thinking
they've got the Iron Man game they've been working on for a little while now. They've got the Black Panther games, which you'd like to think. I mean, let's not get it confused again. Amy Hennig's Black Panther Captain America game, the one that's set in the 1940s and has the kind of World War vibe, that's had a trailer. The EA Black Panther game, we've had nothing. So there could be something there. I think EA maybe will have a presence. They've got the Iron Man game, so they've got some things in the fire ready to go. But yeah, EA, there's no Dead Space 2 because they kind of shot that down, didn't we, a couple of weeks ago. So EA are the ones maybe to watch right now. I'm not too sure what they're working on. For me, I think WB, it's been a long time since we had anything from Monolith. I think we're about due maybe a Wonder Woman update of some sort. We got like a teaser trailer of it, which was just her with her sword. Didn't really tell us anything else. That was a good while ago, yeah. So I'm thinking now, after the Suicide Squad and Gotham Knights debacle, I think it's now time that Monolith stepped up out of the Shadow of War shadows and showed us a Wonder Woman game, show some gameplay, shows like an extended character trailer. Like, what is it going to look like?
I've got a feeling we won't see game. If I guess, I don't think we'll see much game. We might see some, but I think you might see a cinematic. You know how almost Concord's trailer was? He's most of it cinematic, then you've got like maybe a 30-second scissor reel of just gameplay. You might get something like that with Wonder Woman. I think this will be a cinematic trailer if it's here. And then maybe next year you get a gameplay reveal. I would guess, if I had to put a date on this, I'd say late 2025 for that game.
Late 2020, yeah.
It's because they've been so quiet on it, it doesn't feel like it's a 2024 game. We're halfway through the year.
Elden Ring comes out back end of this month. I think that's a shoe-in, like the DLC. Shadow of the Erd Tree. I think Jeff's always shown off FromSoft stuff, remember? He had... what can't I think of it? What's the one with the mechs?
Armored Core.
Armored Core, yeah, we got that drop at the Game Awards. I think we could definitely see something from there.
I think you might see an appearance from Larian, but I don't think you'll get a trailer or anything. With Baldur's Gate winning Game of the Year. Yeah. The appearance might just be the head of the studio in the crowd in his armor again.
Yeah, that's true.
Something like that I could see, because it's a bit too soon probably for the next game announcement.
Yeah. I don't think we'll get... I'm trying to think of like third party. Metal Gear Solid we probably won't see just because of Jeff's relationship with Kojima, right? Like, would he take that Konami money to showcase? Because that's supposed to come out this year. That's rumoured for this year.
If Konami went to him, he's a massive bag of cash for putting out a trailer there. I don't think... In the end of the day, yeah, he has a good relationship with Kojima, but it is a business decision he'd be making, and I don't think I think that will be a fine. I don't think that's going to upset Kojima too much. Like...
Where would you slot Metal Gear Delta into this year, if you were to launch it this year? Because remember, it was showed up on a PlayStation storefront at some point, and then it was pulled down, or a trailer, I think, for games coming this year. I'm thinking more back, like August.
The thing is, we're now in summer, so I'm thinking winter. Like, you're looking towards the end of the year, probably September onwards.
Yeah, August, September would be a decent one for that. I think we're about ready.
Yeah, Sega.
Konami hasn't been doing anything.
Sega will probably be there with probably another Yakuza game.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
maybe something Sonic related could turn up.
Silk Song, that's another one, right?
Oh, yeah, that game doesn't exist. People every time there's a showcase of any description, everyone's going, "Is Silk Song going to be there?" It's like, no.
I mean, it should be. It was supposed to come out this year, right? And then got knocked back. I do think we'll see a little bit more of Judas. So from the BioShock developers, the creative team, Ken Levine's like brand new studio. We saw a little bit of that at the Game Awards, and it showcased what essentially looked, for all intents and purposes, BioShock in space, which I'm all down for. I think it's Ken Levine's done a couple of interviews in and around talking about the game in a greater depth, and I think that one's maybe primed for a launch some point either this year, maybe get pushed back to next year. So I could see that being there.
Dragon Age, Dreadwolf.
There's
it's a year
one. Yeah.
But if they don't have enough for a showcase, that could be a closer.
I mean, what have we had so far? Just a logo, right?
Yeah, basically nothing. It's
it.
been like for 5, 6, 7 years or something. Like
Since
Dragon Age
Andromeda.
for Inquisition it's been like 10 years.
Yeah. Interesting. Actually, bringing in a story from the news this week, which we probably would have got onto, Resident Evil 9. We've seen Village and stuff showcased at Jeff's events before.
It's about time for 9's announcement.
We've heard nothing from Capcom for like their own standalone event, which they sometimes have done for Resident Evil in the past. But bringing in a new story while we do our predictions is a retail listing has dropped for Resident Evil 9 on PlayAsia, along with PS5 versions for Code Veronica, Resident Evil 0, and Resident Evil 5 Remake. The subtitle apparently for Resident Evil 9 is going to be Revenant Shadows, and there's also some preliminary cover art and a description of the game. So it seems legit from what you're seeing. It looks like it might be the next installment of the iconic survival horror series. It doesn't actually say anything in the placeholder for it, but it does quote, "The game continues the chilling legacy with a fresh story, new characters, and the return of familiar faces. Set in an expansive, terrifying world filled with new threats and mysteries, Revenant Shadows blends intense action, intricate puzzles, and the atmospheric dread that fans have come to love." That seems legit to me. These listings, like
the timeline seems about right.
Right, yeah. Village was a couple of years ago now. They've done the DLC. Now, my question for this one, Richie, for 9, is it first person, or do they go back? Now the Ethan Winters arc is finished with Village. Is this now where they pivot and go back to, let's be honest, their most popular style, which is the third person, with the remakes 2, 3, 4, now supposedly 5?
Well, they've been double dipping, though, with the recent games. With
Going
both
back and
Village and 7, you can play them both in first person or third person now.
After the fact.
Maybe that was them experimenting in preparation for 9.
Just do either.
Yeah. Up to the player.
Yeah. I mean, we've been talking for some time about they're going to bump into each other, right? Now they've got 5 remake. They're catching up with their 6, 7, 8 Biohazard ones, so there was always going to be a point. Yeah, that's what annoyed me when I read this article, and it said Code Veronica, Resident Evil 0, which I did check. Resident Evil 0 isn't like a version of 1, it's actually a prequel to 1, which was like, oh. And then 5. So it seems like they're doing everything, but the one, back to my Silent Hill point from earlier on, I'm kind of like so ready to jump into Resident Evil, but I don't want to start at 2. I want to know the full story from the beginning, and I don't want to go back and play an old GameCube game.
The thing
I'm sure it's been remade since as well, but
these listings could just be remasters rather than remakes.
I don't think they do that. I think the success they've had with the others.
I think 5
unless they're starting at good corners.
5 could be a remaster. Something like Code Veronica or 0 probably needs to be a remake. But 5 isn't that old, really.
No.
So it might just be a remaster because it was a PS3 era.
Yeah.
So it might be a remaster to get it on PS5. So that might be why we're seeing these listings alongside kind of come around at the same time as 9, where they might go, yep, Resident Evil 9's in the works. We're remastering 5, and we're also going to be working on 0 and Code Veronica. That's a lot of Resident Evil, so...
It is a lot of Resident Evil, which is why I want to get in the door with 1 before they keep making more and more and more. Because I think if I love it, from what we've played, like, remember, we've played through 7 and 8 now, like, fully on stream. We've dabbled in 2 offline. But they review so well and they look so gorgeous, and the third person, it's like, it's primed for me to get into. And I know Rob's a huge fan of it as well. But yeah, I think Resident Evil, if these listings are true, I think that could be a good one to round up the show.
Yeah.
I think it would get a good pop. Anything else for Jeffs that you're thinking of? Maybe a Mafia 4?
Maybe.
Somewhere in there? That's rumored as well.
It's hard to know, Jeff, because you get stuff randomly out of nowhere that you're just not expecting. Because that's where a lot of the third-party developers seem to showcase stuff, where your main publishers tend to have their own stuff nowadays.
Yeah. Well, that's it. We've got like a Devolver Digital Direct in between this. There's Day of the Devs, there's Indie Showcase, there's Future Games Week. So there's a lot of events going on. And you like to think Jeff has the biggest pull from them all. So we should see the biggest titles at his event. But I'm sure there'll be a couple of surprises. There'll be a couple of indie games, probably a new studio announcement, a Muppet here or two will show up.
Yeah. I don't think Jeff's pull is as big as it used to be anymore, to be honest. I think we've seen that over the last few years. Where since COVID, like once PlayStation, Xbox have and like Ubisoft and EA have kind of found their own groove with their own showcases, why do they need to pay someone else to do it? Which is actually what led to E3 dying to begin with. So you get the odd thing, but I think it's very much in the terms of the big publishers rather than Jeff's terms.
Something, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh well. But moving on from that one, then we've got the Xbox Showcase on the Sunday. Anything in particular? I think some of the shoo-ins that we're definitely going to get has got to be, obviously we know the Call of Duty one, that's guaranteed to be in there. Indiana Jones, I think we'll definitely see a bit more of Indiana Jones because that's the big one for the back end of this year. We've got Richie. Fable, we got a tease at the last showcase. I think we need to see a bit more of that. Perfect Dark, long struggling development. You've got Crystal Dynamics helping out with that still. 343, what's next for Halo Infinite? I think we get an update on what that is. The big long-running rumours, of course, Gears 6.
Gears 6, yeah.
Or maybe a collection. I'm hoping for a collection. I know we're working through and they're fine, but I think a collection. And there's a Doom that I don't know if you saw last week because you weren't here for the episode, but there was a Doom. Well, actually, it's this week, right? It's in this week's news, sorry. So pulling from this week's news story, there's a rumoured Doom game which is going to focus on medieval times called Doom the Dark Ages, which is going to be announced at the showcase. So we're right for a new Doom game, right?
Is this
timeline-wise?
Yeah, is this one of them Dooms that was probably in the leaks? On the
NVIDIA
GeForce,
leaks.
Yeah, the NVIDIA leaks. That was like Untitled Doom game. It wasn't like Doom
Untitled
like Year
game.
Zero or something meant to be.
Yeah.
This could be that game.
Yeah, they might just change it to get away from the leak situation, but everything else has came true on that leak list that we've been covering for. It's basically a future predictions list now.
That was years ago. It might just be a placeholder title.
Yeah. So yeah, Doom. Yeah, what did I just say it was? Yeah, I forgot already.
This is
the Dark Ages. Doom the Dark
yeah.
Ages, which is going to be a prequel, seemingly set well before. Seeing
Maybe
what
this
happens.
is the first time like a portal to hell was opened, and it's going to tell that story.
That could
Which
be
is
cool.
why Doom Year Zero makes sense as a placeholder. We're telling us the story of how this all started.
How it all came to be. And Doom games are super fun. Mm-hmm. So I think that could be a good win for Microsoft on that front. Are you expecting anything yourself? It's got to be a win, right?
Well,
with Xbox, honest, come on.
Pulling from the next news story, Toys for Bob have officially partnered with Xbox. Could be a new Spyro Banjo game in the works.
I think there definitely is, and I think it's a Spyro 4. Yeah. I just think this announcement this week of them, because we've talked about it, Toys for Bob have discussed, since going independent from Activision Blizzard King, working on a title, and they were looking at doing something with Microsoft during layoffs and such. Gone independent, they've announced their official partnership, and everything they've posted is in purple, so it's got to be Spyro the Dragon, 100%. They wouldn't do that colour scheme without doing it slyly.
Yeah.
But you're talking probably 3 years plus.
Yeah, but it might be an announcement that they're working on it. Like, because there's been a lot of upheaval with them. I could see them taking the stage, metaphorically, taking the stage to go, yes, we're an independent company. We have partnered with Xbox. Splash screen, here you go. It's going to be Spyro 4 or whatever it is.
Do you think for the showcase, though, they maybe want to keep the cards close to the chest? Because look what happened to them with Perfect Dark. They showed off that exact same thing, and then we've had nothing for years now. And it's annoying
maybe.
a lot of people. Codsy, Al Davis Music in particular.
I think the big thing is going to be Indiana Jones, though.
Yeah, that'll be the 10 pull. Oh, unless, again, Gears 6, if that is official, I think a big Gears 6 could get a huge pop. It's been many, many years since we had a new Gears entry.
Yeah, true.
We haven't had one of those sit the whole time we've been doing this channel. So
the reason why I think the Indiana Jones would be the big thing, because isn't that this year, and that's ready for gameplay trailer probably, where Gears 6 is probably just ready to be announced that it's happening. So
yeah,
it's a big
end.
announcement, but I think it'll be the announcement for Gear 6, and we go, oh, awesome, you're doing Gear 6. Where Indiana Jones, that's where you're going to be the more focusing on what is the game.
Yeah. And then we've got a lot of their other studios. I think Avowed is ready to go. You would hope by now from Obsidian.
Oh yeah,
and I think Avowed needs to do something. Avowed won you over in the last trailer, didn't it?
It did.
But it didn't. It's still done nothing for me. So, but it must be due out. It's got to be the beginning of next year, right? Avowed.
I don't know. I thought it was this year. Wasn't it?
Have they put a date on it? I might be forgetting.
I don't know. I'll have a quick look.
The rest of the stuff we've got on there, I'd like to see some more of Clockwork Revolution, which was that cool one we saw. Very steampunk, almost like BioShock. And then we've got South of Midnight, which is the one set in the deep south of the US. Could be interesting. Don't really know much about it. Look very Tim Burton inspired, in fact. And then, a couple of other things.
I've got an idea what we could have. Fallout 5.
No, it's way too soon.
Oh, no, actually, you're right. It's Elder Scrolls 6.
Elder Scrolls first, yeah. You're not getting Fallout for a decade plus, unless they give it to in the studio.
Elder Scrolls 6, like, now, like, Bethesda have come out swinging with Fallout this year a bit. It's time, I think, to start talking about Elder Scrolls 6.
Again, talking about early teasers, they teased the Elder Scrolls 6 was in development years ago now, and it's still, thanks to Starfield, it's not anytime soon. So I think they will do something Fallout related, maybe just to celebrate the success of the show and the revival the games have had. They might do like a stealth promotional week free with some kind of perks or tie over. Like, I feel like they'll have definitely got to work after the success of the TV show on something to celebrate.
Well, when Todd Howard was talking about the TV show, it seems like Fallout 5, some of the story beats have probably already drafted. Mm-hmm. Probably the same with Elder Scrolls 6, where they've probably been drafting the stories and stuff for years, and now the team's moved off. Most of the teams probably moved off Starfield. Real production has probably begun in that game, but there's probably been a lot of pre-production going on behind the scenes. Yeah, as people's time with Starfield moved on, probably even some people probably at Bethesda probably stopped working on Starfield years ago. If they're in the early days, especially like the script writers and stuff. Then, so an announcement going back and going, right, Elder Scrolls 6, it's going to be 2026. That's, here is a first kind of look at what we're doing.
Yeah, they've got some huge
not full
IP.
Gameplay, but the kind of like, he's just scanning over the vistas, this is going to be set in this part of the world kind of thing.
Yeah, expand that lore.
Yeah.
A couple of things. Marvel's Blade, we got a teaser last year. Or was that Game Awards? Maybe Game Awards, can't remember.
Maybe too soon?
I think it's too soon, but again, this is when you tease stuff. You open the can of worms for like people expecting to see more on a regular basis. But because game development takes so long now, it's like how much do you show before you have an idea of an actual launch date? I would like to see something, but other than that, State of Decay 3?
Maybe.
That was something Undead Labs have been working away, I think, on that for quite some time. I think it's about the right time for the next State of Decay to get launched. If you remember, I think the last one was with the Xbox launch, so you're talking 4+ years. I think it's about right time for that. And then they'll have a couple of other partnerships come out. You've got Contraband from Avalanche. There's Arc 2, which is the big marketing campaign for Xbox. And Kojima might even show up again to showcase Overdose, which is Xbox exclusive, or OD. Which is that one he keeps touting about, like the Power Cloud game and stuff, the original Stadia game. So Kojima just could be there for the whole weekend. And then I guess the big thing they'll probably talk about is how many times they're going to push Game Pass within this whole showcase of like everything you've seen today, Game Pass. And then we fold into the Call of Duty section. And these are all coming as well. I think we'll get, if they were really clever with it, they could do the whole showcase and maybe like every 10 minutes drop more Call of Duty games just throughout the show. It's like, oh, here's all the Modern Warfare games, and everyone goes, oh my god, that's amazing, coming to Game Pass. Do a couple more things, show off Avowed, show off Clockwork Revolution, and then another Call of Duty segment where they go, oh, and all the Black Ops games are now here at Game Pass day one. Do another couple of bits of showcase, Fallout, Elder Scrolls, whatever. Then go, oh, and by the way, here's all of the other Call of Duty games, and then round up with going, there's a Call of Duty Direct. That might be overkill, but that would be a clever little marketing beat to just keep coming back to it and going, and there's more, and there's more, and there's more. Game Pass is the best value in gaming, hands down. and it's just about to get 30 extra games included.
Yeah, I think there's a few easy stuff that we might see more of from Blizzard. You might see some more DLC for Diablo 4, another season pass, whatever. Maybe a new expansion for World of Warcraft. Maybe StarCraft makes a reappearance because it was 2016, I think, when the last dropped the StarCraft game. So might be ready for another one.
Who knows on that front? But I tell you what, in light of saying the PlayStation State of Play was a bit like okay,
yeah,
Nintendo, we don't know what they're doing with the console. Xbox has an outrageously exhaustive lineup.
They've got the potential
here, yeah.
But we've been saying that for a few years. The potential is there. They just haven't quite realised it.
Yeah. But we'll find out on Sunday. It usually runs for like 50 minutes, if I recall. Yeah. So expect like a decent showcase. I think we'll still... Do you think they'll address any of the recent... Will Phil get on stage and do some kind of address of all like the layoffs and the shutdowns of studios? And do you think he has to do that, or is this not the place? Because they are like, to his credit, Phil Spencer is always like quite front and center and honest. And but then again, do you want to kickstart showcase with the negative element?
I think that is more podcast when he's doing the podcast tour. Because after this, he'll probably do a tour of all the major gaming podcasts.
That's true. Yeah,
that's where that stuff might be addressed. Unless this showcase, he knows he's got an absolute slam dunk of a showcase in his hands, and then he might almost bury the news in it.
Yeah, I mean, we've not even spoke about like another Forza game.
Yeah,
racing. What are the Psychonauts team working on? There's like they have like 20 plus studios now. Even though they keep shutting some, they still have a lot, and they just acquired a whole lot more. So who knows? I think it's expanding. This is a big one for Xbox, and as you keep saying, the potential is there.
With Sony quite quiet at the moment, this is where Xbox can really, I think, can make ground. If they get a handful of releases that go, look at this, 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 it could get people really excited for the Xbox platform. When Sony's been quite quiet, it's like, this is why.
Got to capitalize, right?
Yeah.
Do they make any announcements of stuff coming to PS5?
Xbox. This is not the place for that, mate. You bury that information in the blog.
Yeah. Or do you make an announcement? I think the games may be coming to PS5, give to Jeff to put at the Summer Game Fest, because then it's not brand specific. But I do think we'll leave next weekend knowing...
This is your showcase, make it about your platform.
Yeah, but I could definitely see by the end of next week, we'll know of a few more Xbox games coming to PlayStation.
You know what they might even do? He's the Indiana Jones trailer. The one you see at the Xbox showcase is just only says Xbox Game Pass, PC Game Pass. And then IGN posts an article like an hour later mentioning PlayStation.
Yeah, get it out there.
I think it's that sort of news drop.
Yeah. I've just thought as well, I was looking at some of the other stories. Back to Jeff's event, Alan Wake 2 is due some Season Pass DLC story content, and he was at the Game Awards massively. They had a dance number, if you recall. I think we will get Remedy maybe show up here as a third party. IO Interactive, Hitman, Project 007. Yeah. Again, there's some big third parties out there that obviously we both forgot about then, and then they've just jumped into my brain there. So
this stuff, that's it. We're waiting for stuff, and it's
going to be fun.
Yeah.
Going to be fun. So, yeah, join us this Friday, folks. Tune in live. 10 p.m., I think it is, if I recall. 10 p.m. for that one, and then Sunday for Xboxes.
And bring beer.
And bring some beer, yes, because we'll be having a drink. Last couple of quick news stories just to round out this week's show. Little Nightmares 3 has been delayed to 2025. No surprise there. Supermassive Games have delayed it, putting out a message on Twitter just saying they need a little extra time to prepare. Don't want to take it as much as one. Before we return to the land of nowhere, quality is our top priority, and that's why I've decided to shift the release of the game to 2025. Doesn't bother me. I'm looking forward to Little Nightmares 3 when it does get there. Take all your time. We've always said that. A couple of last ones. Amazon Games have signed a publishing deal with Maverick for a new open world-led action driving game. So again, Amazon Games making some moves. Not confirmed anything to do with Luna. It'd be interesting if they said Stadia. They've actually said it's an open world driving game that is narrative-led, AAA, multi-platform title coming to PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X and S. not their own platform, but either way, it's got a creative director, well-known Mike Brown from the Forza Horizon franchise, and the games, Maverick Games, were founded back in 2022. So again, one of these new studios, up and coming, amazing talent from elsewhere in the industry. They've won loads of awards. They're going to work on this. Interesting, that story. But either way, it shows that Amazon games are growing. They've now got a portfolio that includes the RPG New World, not on Luna, Lost Ark, not on Luna, and then you've also got the upcoming series from Tomb Raider, developed by Crystal Dynamics, published by Amazon, not coming to Luna. The new Lord of the Rings MMO, developed by Amazon Games at Orange County, not coming to Luna. Thrones and Liberty by NC Soft, not coming to Luna. And a bunch of other things like the aforementioned racing game from Maverick. So, and the new studio they've opened in Bucharest earlier this month. Lots of stuff.
I think Amazon have realised the money's in game publishing rather than being a platform holder. Yeah.
You must wonder if you're part of the Luna team. I know we lamented Stadia for it back in the day, but you must see all these moves being made. Like, that's one thing Stadia never did. Google went out there publishing and buying studios and stuff to make games, but then never bring them to Stadia. Which is like, I know they shut their studios, so it's a whole different problem. But
they might have switched the priorities with Luna, where they're going, you know what, we're going to focus on the Amazon games as a publishing arm, and eventually we'll start moving them over to Luna. When we've got enough, we'll do another almost soft reboot of the platform. But for now, we'll just keep it ticking over quietly.
Ticking over. Well, there's a few games coming too. We got obviously Fallout Vegas and 3 last month, so there are things coming. But again, not enough to do a weekly podcast. But I digress. The last couple of stories. This is just focusing on TV. A new animated Minecraft series has been announced for Netflix. The series is part of the Minecraft 15th anniversary celebrations. We had a little short teaser trailer. It basically shows a creeper coming out on the scene before blowing up, and then it pans across lava and shows you a Netflix logo on the scene. Netflix and Craft, Richie. I think that could work. I think we had the Telltale Minecraft game, told a really good story. It had Patton Oswalt as the main character, Steve. It was fun. I enjoyed it. I played them. And I think there's plenty there. I don't think they're for adults, really. I think it's definitely aimed at kids, but it's a good fit. It's a good fit for me, and it's Microsoft diverging a little bit more. Just like Crystal, not Square Enix, just Crystal, I should say, and Embracer Group, Tomb Raider, The Legend of Lara Croft Netflix series. They dropped another trailer showing Hayley Atwell, who probably would do for a real good live-action Tomb Raider if... How old is she now, Hayley Atwell? I'm not too sure. But if you took Peggy Carter from the original Captain America and put her in a Tomb Raider outfit and sent her off on an adventure, she's quite essentially British, is Hayley Atwell. So no wonder she's been picked to do this job. Bit of a shame they didn't keep, I want to say Camilla Luddington, who did the voice for the reboot series, because that, in my head, that is the voice of Lara.
She might not want it.
Well, that's true, yeah. She might not want to come back. But yeah, you know what? Hayley Atwell, she did a cracking job. The trailer looks like anime. So...
Another reason why they might not went with her, they might want to make this distinct from the games. So like, there's no crossovers. Like, this is its own thing. It's got nothing to do with the chronology of the games.
If that was the case, I'm just going to read from the post. The animated series picks up after the events of the highly successful Tomb Raider video game Survival trilogy.
That was absolute bollocks what I just said.
And we'll chart the globetrotting heroine's next chapter as an iconic adventure.
Okay, see, I think I almost wish they went the other way and went, you know, this is a standalone thing. Because then you have the freedom to develop it from season to season into its own thing without being beholden to what the games are doing.
I mean, at the end of the trilogy, Lara's still like young and looking for adventure, so I can kind of see why they would want maybe that. And if it leads for interest in the game, I get it. But you know, I'll probably check it out as far as the series goes. I've enjoyed some of the anime on Netflix. The Castlevania series is terrific. Arcane is always reviewed very, very well. So while we wait for the Ubisoft Blood Dragon Laser Hands Man Hawk Flight School, whatever that was called, Tomb Raider's maybe a bit more grounded in my wheelhouse. But final news story, you won't have to wait long for a Just Cause movie, because the rumour is there's one on the way. Square Enix and Avalanche Studios, not the Avalanche that made Mad Max, will be led by Blue Beetle director Angel Manuel Soto and produced by Kellen McCormick, who just produced the recent Fall Guy movie that came out. Universal said, jumped on the chance to make an adaptation. The studio sees the title as part of a rising wave of video game adaptations that seem to be supplanting the superhero genre at the box office, pointing to the success of Super Mario and Five Nights at Freddy's recently making over $1.4 billion and $290 million respectively. No more information as of yet, but we're basically getting a live action Just Cause game. I think Just Cause doesn't really lend itself to anything other than an action movie.
Yeah,
Get a semi-famous actor, put them in it, and give them a pulp adventure to go on.
Just Cause is an action movie in game form. It's not heavy in story. It's crazy set pieces.
Yeah,
I think it could be a fun movie.
Absolutely. But we'll have to see who's attached to it. So lots of stuff going on in the video game world. Of course, we've got Last of Us news as well coming up. But, Richie, that has been it for this week's video game news. We've got a busy week ahead with game news announcements. But let's end the show by looking back at this day in video game history. We're recording on June the 2nd. Looking back over the years, any standout ones for you this time?
Ooh, let's have a quick look. Nothing's jumping out at me.
I'm going to shout out Red Faction Guerrilla, just because I loved Red Faction 1 and 2, and then Guerrilla was a massive disappointment for me. But 15 years ago in 2009, 19-year-old Chris played this game and was like, it's not quite Red Faction. But, that's it for that there. Anything else? I mean, everything's making announcements, right? Super Mario The Lost Levels came out 38 years ago.
Going back to the 1st of June, the Game Boy camera.
Nice. I love the Game Boy camera. 20 years ago, Spyro, the Dragon Orange, the Cortex Conspiracy. I've never even heard of that game. In Crash Bandicoot Purple, Ripto's Rampage, and Spyro Orange, Dr. Neo, Cortex, Crash's nemesis, and Ripto, Spyro's nemesis, have accidentally met up through underground portals and are set on taking the entire universe. Crash and Spyro must team up with each other to discover the identity of Menace and save the universe from an evil plot. I knew there was a crossover game at some point. I didn't realize it was that particular. Interesting. I might have to go check that out on my old school alleged modding scene.
Yeah, it's a
Lego Indiana Jones, 16 years ago. Great shout. I'm hoping for a remaster of them. Again, remasters in Lego world. I was talking to someone about this week. Give me a Lord of the Rings one, the Middle-earth saga, as you will. Give me an Indiana Jones one, all the movies. Now, they're all finished, no more from Harrison Ford, as you will, in Lego form, amongst a couple of other things, and I'll take it. Yeah, interesting. Couple of things to talk about, but more importantly, Richie, a very busy week ahead. So with that being said, we'll round out this week's episode. Thank you very much to everyone who's tuned in. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and ring that bell if you haven't done so already, so you're kept in the loop with all the great content we do here. Don't forget to check out my Uncharted Golden Abyss playthrough on the PlayStation Vita. Our Gamer Guild heroes get their episode up to a week early, along with stickers and badges next to your name in the live chats for this week's streams with Summer Game Fest Live this Friday and the Xbox Game Showcase Sunday, potentially Ubisoft Forward on Monday, but stay tuned. Follow us on all socials at GamerGuildTV to be kept in the loop with all that. My name's been Chris.
And I've been Richie.
We've been GamerGuildTV. Thank you very much for watching. And remember, folks, play whatever makes you the happiest. Have a great week. Hopefully you get some announcements that are just for you. Goodbye.
Goodbye.